Oof, that's kind of a humming you'll hear in the background. Hopefully we can get rid of that quick. Oh boy, it looks like they're doing, as soon as we start streaming, they kick off the, they get rid of their intermission. We'll see how it goes. If we're competing, we're competing. We don't really mind. It's RoboGames season. I hope you guys are all holding tight. We'll be getting started in just a minute. Let me grab a drink. Hope you all are very comfortable. Hope you all brought your baseball gloves. It's been a sketchy time. Hopefully I sound okay. I do worry about that, but we should be A-okay here, in theory at least. Oof, that's kind of a humming you'll hear in the background. Hopefully we can get rid of that quick. Oh boy, it looks like they're doing, as soon as we start streaming, they kick off the, they get rid of their intermission. We'll see how it goes. If we're competing, we're competing. Almost forgot to go live on Instagram. Season. I hope you guys are all holding tight. We'll be getting started in just a minute. Let me grab a drink. Oh shit, we're getting like streamception here. Let's stop that. We are turning on Instagram Live, and then we are going live everywhere here in just a second. Thank you all for holding tight. Hey, at least we're not as late as we usually are, right? Moving a little bit better. How are we looking? How are we looking? How are we looking, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. I think we're looking pretty good. And there we go. Guess we can go over to this one right here. And there we go. Hello, everybody. Good evening here at the Combat Collective, bringing you all everything you want to know from the world of robot combat, from the heavyweight class to the fleetweight class, from BattleBots to the live circuit. I am your host, as always on the channel, coming to you live for the first time in a month and a half here at the Combat Collective. We got some people joining on the Instagram page already. I know we got a few of you guys on the YouTube page. This is super exciting. Happy RoboGames to everybody. I know we're kind of in an intermission period right now for the live stream. If you are looking for the RoboGames live stream, we were all worried that we weren't going to be able to see it, and that might be the case later on. But right now, if you're looking for some robot fighting action, it's not in the description right now, but go to Twitch and check out Yourself99999. That's 5 nines. They have a bootleg stream of RoboGames right now. Looks like they're trying to decide what robot's going in the arena. I guess we'll be providing live updates on what's going on in the big arena. I got the stream going on my laptop to the side. Been chatting with some people on over there. And We're going to be talking about RoboGames right here. We're going to be continuing as scheduled, even though we now do have a stream. I was kind of half hoping, you know, that like last year, RoboGames would start incredibly late, so maybe we would be able to beat them to the punch, but looks like we were a little bit behind. I know some robots like Boyan from the Combat Collective, shoutouts to Madiator, is there. I know they've already fought. I believe Stink Eye already fought. They might have actually fought Boyan again in a rematch. We'll take a look at the bracket, of course, later on in the show. If you guys aren't already familiar with it, bracket, I believe, is in the description below, assuming that it hasn't been like reset or anything, or it's a brand new link. The lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight bracket should be in the description below. Lightweight bracket actually turned out to be a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. I'm sorry, I have 2 live streams here. I have to keep switching back and forth. Looks like the lightweight bracket's looking to be a little bit better. Some of the Uriah robots that we didn't think were going to show up, like Federal MT, are in fact present. So I might have to change my bracket, not my bracket, my prediction post that we're going to have later on the show here later. Make some new predictions. We'll have to see how that goes once we look at the brackets. Middleweight bracket, not so much. I think it's still only like 4 robots. It's a little unfortunate, but you know, I kind of wish they did a round robin for that bracket. I feel like that would have been a better bang for the buck for all the robots. At least get them one more battle, get everyone a little bit more fight time. But, oh, you know, it's all good. To everyone that is joining on Instagram right now, Sarah Spooner92, Kazar Track, Wizard of Truth, my boy, Tom Sanford 33, Inventor by Heart. Thank you all for chatting here on the Combat Collective. Let's see what's going on in the main chat. We still got some people here. We got the Dropkick Dojo. Super excited to see my boys from Florida hanging out. Apparently that's true. Looks like we are going to have Vlad the Impaler competing in the heavyweight class if it has not already. It's awesome that you almost had that chance, buddy. It's a shame. I know how it goes. Missing out on some big events. Hopefully that's not going to be the case for me for NHRL in July, assuming that's when they're going to be coming to Texas. But we're just going to have to see. Hello, Master of Pronouns. Hello, Thunderbird. I'm sorry, Thunderbird. Plunderbird. Gosh, what kind of Robot Combat fan am I? Hope you're all having a great day. Hope you're all having a very happy RoboGames. And by the way, did I say Stephanie? I'm sorry, did I say Sarah Spooner? I am so sorry. Stephanie Spooner, 92. Welcome to the Combat Collective Instagram Live. And hello to everyone on YouTube Live, of course. We are live on 2 platforms right now, Instagram and YouTube. You can catch us on either or. If you're watching on Instagram, maybe I need to take a drink here, sports fans. If you're watching on Instagram, we're going to have all of our main graphics on the YouTube stream. And then if you're watching on YouTube, we might have a better chance to see your comment on the Instagram feed, just because I'm going to be flipping back and forth from the YouTube chat and brackets and robot pictures and other news on our main screen that will switch over in just a second. Hello, Graham the Goat on YouTube. I do want to say, oh my God, is Mana fighting right now? I think Mana's fighting right now as that plays on in the background. If you're out right now at RoboGames, hopefully you guys brought your glove in case we deal with any shaky arena stuff. That is going to be a little bit of an elephant in the room. Maybe you can catch one of Manta's wheels or a spinner from one of these other robots like Double Trouble in one of them little areas. But yeah, that's going to be one of the elephants in the room. That's going to be talked about a lot. It's been discussed already quite a bit outside of what's going on outside of what's going on today, I should say. The whole arena situation. The arena seems like it might be a little bit unsafe from what we've seen. Obviously, there was the big situation that we dealt with last year. What's up, Real Dondron? Oh, shit. I'm glad you made it, buddy. Corbin Reed, good to see you. Santha Rod, good to see you. Hello, anyone else that may have hopped on the YouTube stream. We got 11 people on YouTube right now. That's big league numbers for us. But I digress. I'm all over the place here. We are going to get to talking about robots. Thankfully, we aren't stuck to just a 1-hour live stream like we usually are with NHRL, since we're trying to compete with the live stream itself. Looks like Manta pretty handily took care of Original Sin in a champion versus champion battle just now at RoboGames 2024. Likely by knockout. I gotta see that fight in full at some point later on. That's one thing that's gonna be a bit of a bummer during this live stream. I'm gonna be able to report results probably. I won't be able to watch the fights. We're gonna be talking about robots We got a lot of robots to talk about here today. As let's go ahead and switch over to the main overlay right now. And excuse me as I do some live maintenance right here for you guys. Okay, that's not how you do that. This is what happens when you do a live stream every few months and then you're like, oh God, I don't remember how to do this. But I digress. Hopefully y'all don't mind the patience, especially my buddies on Instagram right now. Don't mind me. We're getting this all figured out as we speak. There we go. And then for this capture, we're going to want to go to that, right? No? Definitely not that. My apologies. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, now we're good. It wouldn't let me do that when I was doing the pre-stream for some reason, so now we got that fixed up, sorted out of the way. All good in the hood. Hello, what's up, Robert Cowan? Good to see you on the Instagram live stream. Happy to see you. Looks like we got nothing happening right now inside the arena. Sorry, we're just sort of getting everything situated now as we switch over to the main overlay. Howdy, howdy from Oklahoma. Mighty Mercedes Lackey, I hope everyone's doing great. We've been fans since the 90s. Looking forward to RoboGames. Well, hello, Larry Dixon and Cody Corbet of Mad Robots. RoboGames is not streaming the fights, but there is a Twitch streamer called Yourself9999959s. They are right now doing bootleg streams of the event. You can catch the matches over there. It's not in the best quality. It's a little blurry, but that's where everyone's been hanging out and chatting. Hello, Graham the Goat. I'm sorry to ignore your comment. Did you see news about Extreme Robots and Robots Live? Do you think this was a response to Mechmania? I think it was a response to Mechmania. What's going on with Extreme Robots and their big European championship. But I'm not upset with either. I think a rising tide is going to raise every ship. Mech Plus, Robots Live, they want to partner up and do something serious. This is going to be the most serious anyone's taken Robots Live in about 5 years since the pandemic. And there's a lot of people that are also very critical about Extreme Robots, especially in some of the Discord communities I've been in. And maybe this will up their legitimacy to them a little bit more, especially now that they're starting to do featherweight events. I know that was a large criticism for a lot of the fans over in the UK. Was that issue right there. There were not enough featherweight events. They felt like the Extreme Robots events weren't as accessible to them. So that's going to help a lot. They're going to have opportunities to qualify, and we're really going to see the Extreme Robots competition develop more and more over the year, more than we saw last year. And I already thought the team competition was something very smart, very special that helped them a lot with where they were. So I look forward to it. I look forward to both Mechmania and the Extreme Robots, European Championship. I think both of them are going to be exciting to cover, and it's going to make them a little bit more interesting. A lot of the Robots Live and Extreme Robots videos, I love covering them. They don't get a lot of buzz, so maybe this will bring in a little bit of attention as we have 2 more robots loading into the RoboGames arena right now on our live feed. Hello, Okami Fan. I know Okami Fan is at the RoboGames event right now. Hopefully you brought your glove, buddy. He was covering some of the sportsman fights earlier on his Instagram page. So if you want to check that out, Okami Fan 1 Instagram, he's posting some of the robot fights that are happening, including we had Woodsman and Crunch Time earlier in the day. I was pretty excited to see that because neither of those robots were on the sportsman featherweight signups, and they ended up showing up after Raw to fill up that bracket a little bit more. 2 very unique robots, Woodsman and Axbot. Crunch Time being, well, a crusher. One of the most beautiful crushers in the sport, by the way. Probably the best looking one behind Quantum. A lot of Quantum inspiration there. Very solid looking robot. But I know what we're all here to talk about, guys. We want to talk about some robots, talk about some machines that are standing out. As I imagine we're still getting a few people filing into the live stream right now. We have 9 on YouTube and a handful of them right now on Instagram. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful evening watching robot fights, kicking back, having a drink, pre-gaming for 420 tomorrow. I know I'm going to be after the NHRL stream, which, by the way, guys, we're going to be live streaming again tomorrow morning, bright and early. Have breakfast with us. NHRL pre-show, back-to-back nights. We're busy, but we're having a lot of fun here. And like I said, it's nice to have one of these streams where I can just ramble on a little bit and we're not worried about like the hour delay, or sorry, the hour window that we have to talk about everything, because we got a lot to talk about here. We're not talking about every single weight class. I'm not too savvy with what's going on in the flea weight or the ant weight competition this time around, but from 3 pound all the way to 250 pound, and even some of the other weird classes. I want to highlight some fun robots that are at this event. We got a lot to talk about here today on the Combat Collective, live on Instagram, live on YouTube, as it looks like Double Trouble is inside the arena for a heavyweight battle as we speak. Double Trouble, a very interesting robot coming from, I believe we have a picture of it on, let me see, I think we have a picture of it on the BattleBots Wiki server. I think I want to bring this up real quick. Get the elephant in the room stuff out of the way. Guys, I'm going to be real. If y'all ain't us supporting RoboGames this year, I don't blame y'all for having a little bit of hesitation after what happened last year, and this picture is a little bit damning. So this is a picture of the arena right now. If you're on Instagram, we're talking about this on YouTube. I just realized I'm keep going off camera for you guys on Instagram, so let me fix that, because that's no bueno for y'all. There we go. Well, I said there we go, as it immediately fixes itself. There we go. Yeah, see here, I might have to do something different to fix this later on down the line. There's these 2 slits in the arena. They were apparently duct taped last year. They weren't this year. It's a little bit sketchy. I'm sure that a lot of ire has already been raised to poor David Calkins and all that about the situation. So hopefully he's smartening up and finding a way to fix that. Looking at the picture of the arena right now, it's hard to tell from the live stream I'm looking at. And here we go. Here's the picture of Double Trouble I was looking at pulling up. As you can tell, very much kind of a bizarre shape. Obviously, there are some advantages to it. It's going to be very hard to get purchase on a robot like this, especially if you're a horizontal spinner such as Travesty. But it has those 2 vertical spinners, one at the back, one at the front, very Counter-Revolution or Orbitron-esque. And it doesn't look like they're going to get much purchase, especially against some of these big-time robots with big-time wedges such as Swamp Thing and Stink Eye. Don't really know what it's going to do. I guess we're going to see what it does here in a little bit, because it looks like it's in the arena right now. This robot was not known to us when we were making the graphics for this live stream, as a car alarm is going out right outside my window. We love that. So I guess we just take the second to address them here, because we are going to start off with the good stuff, the heavyweights. Talk about 8 robots which stand out to me in this 20 robot competition that is happening over the weekend. Double Trouble, though, brand new team as far as I know in the heavyweight class. Not much experience. It is a very fun looking robot, though. Kind of reminds me of Clusterflock from 2018 RoboGames, if we have any old heads that remember that robot. It also was built around a large circular robot. Was it Clusterfuck or was it a different robot? I'm sure someone knows who I'm talking about. Hello, Magnitude. Currently live at RoboGames right now. Just talked about them in my my Instagram story on the Combat Collective. We are on Instagram if you want to follow us there. We are doing the live stream if you're watching us on YouTube. Talking to some of the people in our YouTube chat right now. It keeps going off screen whenever I pull up the chat. It's kind of annoying, but I digress. We have some people chatting here. Can you post a link to the Twitch? Maybe I can later once I get a more of a chance to do it. Dave Calkins doesn't care, assuming the claims are true. David Calkins is a very interesting guy. I've chatted with him on and off for multiple years in the sport, and he loves robot combat. There's very few people in the world that love robot combat as much of him, but he is a guy that is very set in his ways sometimes, for better or worse, sometimes for worse, as it's been lately. I always cheer for him. I always root for him, especially RoboGames. Robots! What's up, Magnitude? Best of luck this weekend. Glad you're hanging out in the chat. And what's up, Leonardo Dotolo? I hope I read that right. It is very small text on my screen. And what Cody Corbet, wow, Herker Bounden still competing. Actually, I think it's like the first time they're competing in like a decade. at this competition. We're going to be talking about Herger Poundin a little bit later because I have been gushing over Herger Poundin as an old school head of the sport. What's up, Patrick Roberry, joining on Instagram Live. Another new heavyweight that I want to talk about real quick before we switch over to our big graphic. That's for Battle of Robots. That's another thing. We got to talk about Battle of Robots soon. I haven't done a video on the super final yet, and I hate myself for that. So expect the super final video fairly soon. And here's the other robot that we did not know about until this morning. This is Hailstorm coming from Team Penguin Robotics out of Ohio. If the name sounds familiar, you may remember the Emperor from RoboGames. Oh shoot, looks like the fight happened. It looks like Spin Doctor was the one that actually fought Double Trouble, and if I'm judging from that picture, I think Spin Doctor won. I don't know. But here we have Hailstorm from Team Penguin Robotics out of Ohio. Last year they had the Emperor. It was a beautiful robot if you remember the Emperor. It was like endgame, had a very unique weapon, a lot of air holes in the body, which ended up costing it, I think, especially on day one when the arena was so dusty. This is a step in the right direction. In fact, when the very first time I saw this new robot, Hailstorm, from Team Penguin Robotics, I thought this was a 30-pounder or maybe even a 15. It's such a 30-pounder or 15-pounder design, especially with the sponsors, the college livery. It looks good, don't get me wrong. Very Riptide, very Part of My French, very Lynx. But it's a heavyweight. This is probably a super compact robot. At least I would like to imagine it's a pretty compact robot entering this competition. A lot less air holes than what the Emperor had. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more out of Hailstorm than we did with Emperor. Emperor was pretty, but it couldn't fight. Emperor may not be as pretty, but it might pack a hell of a punch. I mean, look at that egg beater. I guess it just depends on weapon reliability and drive reliability. We'll get to that, but those are not the only two new heavyweights at RoboGames 2024. As we now go to the graphics, everyone's favorite part. You don't have to look at my ugly mug as much. And let's talk about 4 heavyweights that are actually making their RoboGames debut this year, including one robot, which is actually in our Instagram chat right now, Magnitude, talking about some of these machines here. Hello, Daxby21. Good to see you. Chatting about these 4 machines that we have on screen right here, right now. Chad New, also in the YouTube chat. We got double Magnitude dosage, like there's 2 Magnitudes happening at RoboGames right now. You love to see it. Chad New talking about, it got a side blown off. Are we talking about Hailstorm, or are we talking about Double Trouble? Let me know, Chad. We're talking about robots that are brand new to this competition outside of Hailstorm and Double Trouble. Double Trouble, what about Double Jeopardy? We'll go ahead and start with number 2 right here. By the way, what's up, John Remar? BattleBots Ref in the Instagram chat. We absolutely love that. Mandamus is a new sibling of Double Jeopardy. They're testing out their brand new body, Double Trouble Robotics, the Lawyer Brothers. And it looks pretty solid. I always said, and I've said it every year for years now, I think Spin Doctor got a side blown off. Oh, I'm going to be gushing about Spin Doctor later. I can't believe that. It looks like Hailstorm's entering the arena right now. In fact, I think, no, that's Warthog. The Warthog driver just shoved Warthog off of the robot caddy. I can't believe what I just saw. That can't be safe for it, but I digress. Yes, let's not get, this is an ADHD stream already. Let's talk about Mandamus real quick here. The sibling of Double Jeopardy. This is the new body for Double Jeopardy, assuming we do see it at BattleBots again. Obviously, they can't run the cannon at this event, so they are doing a front hinged flipper / lifter for this competition. The robot doesn't look invertible, but guys, it's like I've always said for years talking about Double Jeopardy. Double Jeopardy has an ability to sneak into BattleBots as the best wedge bot ever. They have 1 or 2 shots. That's fine. They use them real quick. Use them in the first minute of the fight. But if you have a good wedge, a good drive system on that robot, and you can bully that robot, take him to the kill saws, take him to the pulverizers for the rest of that 2 minutes, you have a solid robot and maybe a championship run built in as long as you can stay on your wheels. And staying on your wheels is going to be a big thing with Mandamus, given the lack of invertibility. I'd be shocked if this robot can self-right. Don't know how they're doing in bracket right now. We're going to take a look at the bracket once we go through these 8 heavyweights real quick, Ski. We also have Travis T, of course. Everybody loves Travis T. You know who Travis T is. I know who Travis T is, and this robot ain't even appeared on BattleBots yet. If you watched our very recently posted top 32 of the TCC 100, we talked about Travis T. It was ranked number 28 on the TCC 100. Maybe one of the more forgiving robots to get their ranking after it beat two very old school robots in Overkill and Snakebite. And we can kind of see that it has come back down to earth a little bit. With what's happened at Proving Grounds already. The robot did just fight against Minotaur. It lost against that robot. It also lost two against Swamp Thing at the very beginning of the year. Another robot which is actually at RoboGames. Maybe we'll see a rematch as Warthog is stepping into the arena with some robot. I actually can't tell who's in the arena it is with right now. So yeah, Travis T, 0-3 to start the year. They might fall to 0-5 if they have a bad RoboGames. That would be a horrible position for them to be in, especially given that those are all full combat fights. They're going to be in a deep hole to start the year, and it's going to be a hell of a one for them to work themselves out of. Travis T was the first spot to get a KO versus Overkill. Is that true? I'm not going to deny that, but I remember... No, I think you're right, because I remember Doom knocked a wheel off Overkill, but Doom still managed to lose that fight. Maybe you're right. Echo 3, thank you, Chad. We got Echo 3 versus Warthog inside the RoboGames arena right now. Echo 3 is a robot that doesn't get enough love. Not the most powerful drum bot, not the most fantastical team in terms of charisma, but the team does get around. They do travel. They competed at FMB, and I think they got third overall in that competition, their world championship all the way back in 2018. They're a RoboGames mainstay. They always manage to pick up a win or two, and I would pick them as the favorite against... Warthog right now. But speaking of drum bots and speaking of robots that have a history at Proving Grounds, what about, we just talked about them, Chad News in the chat, Magnitude. Now last year, TCC rankings was not forgiving to it, but they also kind of had a short stick. They went 0-2 against Hypershock, the TCC #1 ranked robot in 2022. Lost 2 by knockout. Very unfortunate, and they were only ranked 168 out of 211, but the robot is certainly much better in its ranking, and we saw that already a little bit this year. I have it marked as 2-0 to start 2024. I don't know if that's accurate. I think it might just be 1-0. I know maybe I'm mistaken. I'm in Chad News here. I know its first fight was like a tie or something against Taco Tuesday, so that might actually be an incorrect stat right there, but it is technically undefeated right now to start 2024, and in a very good spot as it enters RoboGames 2024, especially with the team bringing 2 fully prepared magnitudes to this competition. Now, much like a lot of robots, there is a little bit of a gentleman's agreement right now for all the vertical spinners to run a lessened tip speed inside the RoboGames arena, given the fact that, well, baseball gloves ready. It is the RoboGames arena, and there is a little bit of suspicion and sketchiness and caution going on right now. And one of the teams that have not really decided, at least I'd say 2-0, winking emoji. That's fair. We'll say 2-0 for this. It's what the graphic says, and I actually haven't had a chance to go back and watch that fight right yet, so I should not be the judge of that. But talking about drivers that have not made a decision to what they're going to be using as a weapon as of yet, though it does seem pretty likely, is Jeff Waters, another huge friend of the Combat Collective's Jackpot. We actually had Jeff Waters in the TCC chat when we were doing our RoboGames 2023 preview live stream. And we actually had Jeff Waters hanging out being like, oh man, if I knew that RoboGames was going to have so many pullouts, I might have showed up. Well, he's here, and he's brought Jackpot competing as Blackjack, another robot that was in the TCC rankings video that was out just a couple of days ago. And on that video, Blackjack, Jackpot, whatever you want to call it this year, it ranked number 30 overall. It had a very solid year, made it into the playoffs yet again, had a very impressive Proving Grounds, and of course, the big one, it made Final Four at the BattleBots Champions Tournament, the Sin City Slugfest, getting a huge win over Whiplash, I believe, in round 1 of the Golden Bolt Brackets final, and then eventually lost out to the eventual winner, Endgame. And the situation for it right now is they brought their lifter configuration. I think they also brought the... Sorry, I got a text. That was weird. I know they brought the lifter configuration, but obviously they also did bring the spinner configuration, which is what we see in this picture on the graphic right now. A picture that we actually got this morning of Blackjack, aka Jackpot. Looks like Chad New is about to go fight inside the RoboGames arena. So best of luck to you guys. Best of luck to Magnitude. We're pulling for y'all over here. Graham the GOAT. Why doesn't RoboGames run Extreme Robot spin speed rules? Now, this is actually something I was bringing up. Let me go ahead and go back over to the main overlay so y'all can look at me a little bit again. This was actually something I was going to bring up, and I think I did bring it up in a few Robot Combat Tonight episodes. It seemed like such a simple solution because I think the Extreme Robots arena is like, excuse me, even more sketchy than the RoboGames arena. Sketchy is a mean word. The Extreme Robots arena is fine, and it's been fine. It takes the hits, and the hits are very exciting. If you watch a Monsoon versus IQ battle, it doesn't feel like you're losing anything. And I don't exactly know what the tip speed limit is at Extreme Robots, but that arena can take that. The RoboGames arena should be able to take it. Maybe fix those holes in the side of the arena. I mean, geez. But it should be able to take it, and I think that's one of the things they should have done pretty much immediately. That should be one of the go-to duh things, is seeing what Extreme Robots did and just following the tip speed limit of that. I wouldn't upset any builder. In fact, you may have been able to get some of these robots like Malice and Mad Cow to actually come back if they did that, but they didn't do it. So I digress. It's a little frustrating, and it's just putting another veil of negativity and controversy over RoboGames, which just sucks. But they kind of deserve it right now with their situation. But hey, we're still here covering it because we do love RoboGames and we want the best for them. So hopefully, maybe they will learn a little bit from this, and we can see a better RoboGames as the days go on, and an even better RoboGames 2025. Where we don't have to be so cautious about it, because I will be honest, guys, I didn't do preview videos on RoboGames this year like I usually do, like I did for last year, because I didn't know how people would react. Some people seem sketchy about how I covered RoboGames last year. I was like, I didn't know how I was covering. I didn't know this was going to happen. And I want to do RoboGames videos because they're fun to do, and quite frankly, they bring in really good views. But I digress. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. I'm not going to try to hark on too much about it because we all know the situation. We all know it's very questionable right now, but we just want to see really good robot fighting as Black Dragon enters the arena. Speaking of some really good robot fighting, and Black Dragon, let's start talking about some of their proper, well, Magnitude and Jackpot obviously are proper championship contenders, but what about some other robots? Here are 4 more that I have laid out right here, right now. Firstly, talking about Swamp Serpent. Kind of curious about Vlad the Impaler. I know they're in the house. I don't know if it's the... I heard someone tell me that it was the original Vlad the Impaler, like the one that lost to Mechavore, one that won BattleBots Championships Vlad the Impaler. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I'd be shocked if it's anything that's not Vlad 2, but I digress. Talking about Vlad 2, Swamp Serpent, one of the 3 Rust Robotics heavyweights at this competition this year. If Swamp Serpent looks familiar, it's because it is. We were just talking about it, myself and Chad New, in the YouTube chat. Apparently it lost a fight, lost one side of itself earlier today already. Swamp Serpent competed all the way back in the first ever King of Bots in China, all the way back in 2017, almost 8 years ago now. Isn't that crazy? It was actually built and captained by the runner of RoboGames, David Calkins, and one of the first times in quite a long time, and only time since he was a competitor instead of an event host. And you know what? It did pretty good at King of Bots. One of my favorite fights of all time is Spin Doctor versus Death Roll, aka Great White, at that first King of Bots event. Very phenomenal fight. Go out of your way to look it up if you haven't. Spin Doctor, aka Swamp Serpent, as it is known as this event. It's a solid robot. The drum is obviously not the biggest. The wedge, front feeder wedge, is not the biggest. It's a bit of a rudimentary old school design. As you look at it, you can definitely get some inspiration from the second version of Vlad the Impaler with how its body is shaped. Kind of like a modernized version of that. And I have high hopes for it in this competition. Do those high hopes hold up? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Because apparently, like what Chad New said, this robot lost pretty badly earlier in the day. I can't imagine it was to Double Trouble just now, but maybe it was to Double Trouble. That would be a little bit crazy. I really want to see this robot do good as a King of Bots nerd, as an old school robots nerd. And 2017, with how much the years fly by, is already a little bit dated. So it really does feel like a bit of an older name coming back into the sport. One I am super excited for, win or lose, to see Swamp Serpent, the robot formerly known as Spin Doctor, competing inside an arena. But we were just talking about it. The robot is in the arena right now as we speak, live on the Combat Collective. Black Dragon, TCC number 38, ranked in 2023. Obviously, the big storyline for this robot last year was how it came only one fight away from tying the BattleBot's all-time record for most fights without a knockout, taken away from it against Riptide at the very, very last second. Absolute heartbreak, but that's how the sport goes. Black Dragon, because of that, and because of a lackluster postseason and Champions Tournament, and it ended up only ranked number 38 overall in the TCC rankings. Could have been better, and I expect much better this year since it is at RoboGames, and I see it doing very well at RoboGames this year. Team Uriah, they have a connection to RoboGames. This is where they got famous. This is their bread and butter. Same way as Team Riobots has really made RoboGames their own over the years. I may even say more so with Team Warrior, because these guys show up to more of these RoboGames events than the Riobots team nowadays. We'll have to see how Black Dragon does in the competition. They were supposed to be at the competition last year, ended up pulling out last second. They're here this year, and I am super excited to see them. Very curious to see who they're going to be fighting here in just a second as they are loaded inside the arena. We have another info update here about Vlad the Impaler from our buddies at the Dropkick Dojo. Graham, we go. XR Arena is way thicker as someone who has seen both arenas in person. Well, that's good to know. I shouldn't comment saying that stuff that I did about the Extreme Robots Arena. I haven't seen any of these arenas in person. I haven't seen heavyweight action since 2019. Desperately need to. Maybe I'll fix that next year. We'll have to see how it goes. From the Dropkick Dojo. It's not the original. It's Vlad 2. I think because they couldn't get enough guys to come out and get the ready, Vlad isn't running. That would be disappointing, but it was a little bit of a fuel filler, and god damn it, that robot's been through so much shit. Honestly, didn't it fight like Tombstone or Electric Boogaloo the last time it competed at RoboGames, and it got absolutely torn apart? So I'm surprised they even got running in the first place. One robot ain't going to get torn apart at this event. Probably one of the most versatile robots in terms of configurations is the one and only Lucky, a robot which got its name huge off of RoboGames last year. Lucky, TKO Robotics, they had a banner year in 2023, as we all remember. It's ranked number 10, top 10 in the TCC 100 for a reason. At BattleBots, it had a phenomenal 3-1 year, only lost to Cobalt in the regular season, made it to the top 32. In a Vengeance of Vegas, it got its victory back over Beta from 2016 in a fun rematch. But at RoboGames is where it really got big, kicked off its event at 3-0, and for a split moment of time last year during our TCC ranking, this robot was actually ranked number 1 overall for like 2 or 3 days. It was super exciting to see. Not only a Canadian robot sit number 1, but a flipper sit number 1. And this is just a long time coming for Ziggy. I'm not Ziggy, I'm sorry, Lucky, son of Ziggy, whatever you want to call it at this event. Obviously, if you don't know the history, and I'm sure a lot of you guys that are listening right now do know the history with Lucky, back in the day before it was a heavyweight, it was a super heavyweight under the name Ziggy, and it was the best super heavyweight of all time. So good, in fact, that the weight class is retired and has been retired for 14 years because of it. Lucky is essentially a 250-pound version of Ziggy. You would think that would transfer over and make it a great robot, but from pretty much from 2016 to 2019, it was a bit of a field filler for BattleBots until they added Matt Olson, one of the best RC car drivers in the world, to their rankings, and it's been just straightforward ever since. The robot has looked phenomenal at BattleBots at RoboGames. Obviously, see here on the graphic, it placed 4th at RoboGames 2023, and you gotta think the Canadians are gonna want more this year. Real quick, what's up, Ruler of Dogs, TAM Robotics, Mitchell RM, and Mr. Robin Daharvi? I'm sure I screwed that name up. I am so sorry, buddy, for all joining on the Instagram live chat. And all 13 of you guys live on YouTube right now, hello, hello, good evening. I'm so glad you guys are joining me and hanging out with me. While we're talking RoboGames here, we still got a lot to talk about. We got middleweights, lightweights, brackets, so much fun stuff to look at that we might need to pick up the pace here a little bit. And you want to pick up the pace, This robot will pick up the pace. I don't think this robot has won a match by judges' decision yet. Manta, the number 3 ranked robot in our TCC rankings last year. Very late into the video, if you watched it the other day, it is our defending, reigning RoboGames heavyweight champion. And without malice, without Mad Catter there, it may just do it 2 years in a row. In fact, I am predicting it to do it 2 years in a row, as it looks like maybe that isn't Black Dragon. Maybe that's Federal MT I'm seeing getting wheeled into the arena, or I should say wheeled out of the arena, because that looks way too small to be Black Dragon, and Black Dragon's a pretty small robot as it is. But I digress. Talking about Manta here. This is going to be the first time we've seen Nick Dobrikhov's killer robot since it obliterated Triton a couple of times at Proving Grounds. It has been over half a year since it has competed, but I am expecting this robot to be TCC number 1, maybe even a little bit better. Maybe even a little bit better. TCC top 5, maybe even a little bit better this year. Could see it being TCC number 1. Well, it's going to be TCC number 0. What am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying. This is what happens when you get me off a script. These TCC videos, that teleprompter is really carrying the show here. I'm just waffling, but I digress. We got a comment by Patrick Roberry in the Instagram chat. How do we revive the dying middleweight scene? I think it's really tricky. That's a hard question. Honestly, I think you guys in the UK are doing better with the middleweights than us in the United States are doing with the middleweights. Honestly, I'll tell you what. I think the middleweight scene is in a lot better. You know what, let's put our middleweights up while we talk about this. That's not our middleweights. That's from our last stream. Pause. All right. It's okay. We factored this something. It has been a very good stream. Nothing has gone wrong until now, so something had to have gone wrong. It's Murphy's Law. There we go. That's what we wanted to have up on screen. I'm talking about these middleweights here, and we'll go over these later after we look at the bracket. Middleweights in the United States are pretty bad. You know, we have RoboGames, happens once a year, maybe. And this is a 4 middleweight event. Of course, Mortician's going to be there. Of course, Who's Your Daddy's going to be there. Those are names that are always going to be at RoboGames. Same with Wolverine. That's why we have these 3 robots shouted out right here. But if you look at places like India, you look at places like Brazil, there's a good handful of middleweights that compete over there at events like IAT TechFest and RoboCore. There is a pretty good middleweight scene. In the UK, it's an all-right middleweight scene. I know you guys have Extreme Robots, and I know it's not like amazing. It's not like an amazing middleweight scene. You guys have robots like Agamemnon, Palas, Backflip, who's a very phenomenal robot to watch fight, and they do great. They put on a good show, but they do fight one another over and over again. So I understand like where you're coming from with that. I feel like as long as RoboGames can develop, as long as Extreme Robots can develop over the years, year by year, and stay consistent, we can see the middleweight class, and honestly the lightweight class, because I'm more worried about the lightweight class, to be honest. We don't do the lightweight class and all, and I know the UK and Europe certainly doesn't do the lightweight class, even though India and Brazil still do. I'd worry more about that, to be honest. I like middleweights, though. Hopefully we don't see them dying. Big bots are just hard. They're very expensive. They're very hard to work on. They're very hard to test in a safe spot, lightweights and middleweights, if you don't have like a testing arena. And unlike heavyweights, they're not going to get you prize money, and they certainly aren't going to get you on TV. So there's not as much incentive. But that's my middleweight tangent out of the way. We're talking about heavyweights right now, and in fact, give me a second here. We are going to go ahead and pull up the RoboGames bracket and look and see how these heavyweights are doing as what the heck is inside the arena right now on the RoboGames stream? That's because featherweights replaced lightweights. Yeah, honestly, if I had to do if I had to make a TV show like Comedy Central BattleBots and I had to have multiple weight classes featured and I had to balance them all out, I would do heavyweights, middleweights, and featherweights. Those would be the 3 weight classes I do. Featherweights is easily, maybe even compared to the beetleweights, the most active, most thriving weight class in the sport right now. We got robots from all around the world, pretty much every continent, building featherweights right now. If someone wanted to have like, and NHL kind of does, I shouldn't say if someone wanted to do it, if someone really wanted to make like a big invitational BattleBots equivalent featherweight competition and make it a web series, I think it would do phenomenally. I really do think it would do pretty well. Right now we're pulling up some brackets, and we are going to take a look at the RoboGames heavyweight bracket real quick. Take a little bit of a pause from looking at the machines here. It looks like we only, and maybe someone else can link it. If you guys are listening on Instagram or on YouTube, if you guys have, I'm bright right now. I am paler than usual. Wish this website had a dark mode. I digress. If you guys have brackets to the sportsman, featherweight, and middleweight competitions as well, send me them because I don't have them at all. I don't know what's going on with them or anything at all. So send me them if you can. But guys, let's take a look at this heavyweight bracket because this is really what we want to do here. We want to see how the heavyweight robots are doing thus far. And let's just get right to the thick of the bracket, right in the fat middle of it. And looks like just like last year, the tournament kicked off with Boyan versus Stink Eye. I think that fight's actually on the NHRL Discord right now. Let's go ahead and peek over to that. Real quick ski. Looks like a lot of people are talking about NHRL. Well, I hope they're talking about NHRL on the NHRL server. It looks like a lot of people are talking about RoboGames on the NHRL server. Very good to see. Very exciting. Oh, this West guy actually uploaded a bunch of fights, it looks like. That's super exciting. Not that they're loading right now, and I'm not going to try to push it just because I don't want to tank the stream like I did that one time. We'll sit there. We'll keep those off to the side. Maybe we'll look at them later. Let's keep an eye on the bracket right now. So Stink Eye defeated Boyan. I don't know if it was by a knockout. Does it say the decision on here? Because that would make my life a lot easier. Because I'm sure at least one of these fights is not going to see the light of day somehow, some way. Well, maybe not. Folks, this is why you don't get optimum internet. Ah, there we go. Yes, victory by tap out. Noted. So, damn. Poor Boyan drew Hardcore Robotics, Ray Billings, Stink Eye immediately twice in a row. That's tough. Magnitude's going to be the next robot to fight Stink Eye. That's going to be a very exciting one. In fact, that's probably what Chad New is preparing for right now, as it looks like the RoboGames stream is currently very well. Actually, the RoboGames stream has gone offline. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe they got yelled at. I know the whole union thing is this whole can of worms. Hopefully that's not the case, but they're offline right now. That's kind of tough. We'll have to see what happens there. Puck got a bye. Hailstorm got a bye, which set up Puck versus Hailstorm. Puck, if you don't remember, the same team as Wolverine, the middleweight, Sierra College Robotics. It's a two-wheel drive wedge butt. It's very basic. Only upgrade that has been made to it this year is the fact it has wedgelets. And I guess that was enough to beat Hailstorm. It is a victory here. Don't know if it's by judge's decision. Let's take a look at this and see where we are sitting on this battle. Puck versus Hailstorm. Maybe Hailstorm just wasn't reliable. We were talking about that a few moments ago on the live stream. Maybe something just didn't work. New Robot Gremlins. Puck advanced to take on, or will be taking on, the winner of Stink Eye versus Magnitude. So that's going to be a pretty tough draw, whoever faces it next. Travis T and Mondamus got a bye through the first round, faced each other, and it looks like I'm a little surprised by this because I honestly thought of all the robots we have in this competition right here, Mondamus was going to be one of them that Travis T would beat pretty handily, but it looks like Mondamus actually beat Travis T. That's a little bit of a surprise. Mondamus kicks off its career 1 win, 0 loss. Pretty excited for team. Pretty excited for Team Double Trouble there with that big victory. Another round 1 rematch from 2023 right here. Swamp Thing versus Raging Scotsman. If you remembered how they fought. And another tap out. This was another tap out. That's quite interesting as we get a good look of how Travis T looks inside the RoboGames pits. I think it's even longer. I genuinely think it's even longer. Like if you could convince somebody that doesn't know robot combat that this is just a pit table. I guarantee it. I love Travis T. I really hope it can figure itself out a little bit in this tournament. Carrying on forward though, we have Ziggy Jr., aka Lucky, received a bye. They're gonna be taking on Raging Scotsman next, who will beat Swamp Thing again. got tangented there. Raging Scotsman, of course, beats Swamp Thing in round 1 of last year's RoboGames after Swamp Thing got itself caught under the wall not once, not 3 times, but twice during the battle. That was a real kryptonite for Swamp Thing last year, even inside the BattleBots arena. Curious if that's the issue as well this year. Don't know if that's the case. It did well against Travesty early in the year. Guess we'll have to see what happens. Looks like we were kind of close to a Travesty Swamp Thing rematch, but both robots lost the round 1 battle. Maybe they'll meet each other in losers. We'll have to see what happens. Moving forward here, Manta just defeated Original Sin. We caught a glimpse of that right as the stream started. A big knockout victory for Manta there. They're moving on in a champion versus champion battle. We're going to have to go back and see that one because that's like a historic battle right there. The 2 most recent RoboGames champions. Warthog versus Echo 3.0. I know that they fought. Hello? Where'd my bracket go? Okay, there it is. Gosh, that was weird. Warthog and Echo 3.0, I guess for some reason one of them stopped fighting because we don't have a result for that yet. Swamp Serpent versus Blackjack. Oh man, no wonder why Spin Doctor got its ass beat so early on. Blackjack apparently had to be the first robot to fight it, aka Jackpot. So that's a King of Bot robot fighting a BattleBots level robot. That's a pretty exciting battle. But I can definitely see how Spin Doctor, aka Swamp Serpent, would have taken some serious damage in that fight. Jackpot is 1-0 at RoboGames, and it looks like they're going to be taking on another BattleBots level competitor. That's super exciting. Very tough draw for Double Trouble to take on Black Dragon in round 1. You just know Black Dragon tore that robot apart. I hope there's enough Double Trouble, and I'm sure there is enough Double Trouble since we did see it inside the arena briefly. And then we have Terratops, who got a bye in round 1. They're taking on Dragon next in a Dragon versus Dinosaur showdown. That's actually going to be a very exciting fight. Black Dragon versus Terratops. If there's a way we can see it, I would love to see that fight. That is going to be BattleBots TV level excellence. And whoever fights that, whoever wins that is going to fight Jackpot. So that's also going to be good. In fact, excuse my ignorance, but has Jackpot ever fought Black Dragon? I feel like that fight has happened before, but I might be wrong. I don't know why I thought that would give me BattleBot stuff. Just gave me phone game stuff. Looks like they haven't fought before. Checking the trusty old BattleBots wiki here. Shoutouts to the people that run the BattleBots wiki, by the way. I love those guys. I know we both give each other a lot of shit. We both shit talk each other so much on the BattleBots Discord server, BattleBots Wiki Discord server, I should say. But they are very helpful, especially when it comes to Proving Grounds stuff. I couldn't do a lot of my Proving Grounds updates without them. So much love to them. As we get a little bit more of a luck here going through the BattleBots Wiki. I don't think these guys have ever fought before. So I think that would be a first ever. Nope. Never met before. Very interesting. Let's take a quick look at the losers bracket before I move over some to these. Bleh. Let's take a quick look at the losers bracket before I move over to some of these other weight classes and other robots that are fighting at RoboGames this year. Losers bracket. We already got Boyan in the losers bracket. It looks like they're going to be taking on the loser of A8, which is Black Dragon versus Terratops. I am so sorry, Madiator. That is a tough draw. Swamp Serpent has received a bye, and they're going to be taking on the winner of Boyan and the loser of Black Dragon and Terratops. We'll have to see how that goes. Tough pool for Boyan there. Moving through, the loser of A6, which would be Warhog and Echo 3.0, is going to take on the winner of Swamp Thing versus Original Sin. So we're probably looking at Echo 3.0 versus Swamp Thing. Should be a fun battle of middle tier robots. Loser of A4 is going to be taking on Travis T. So the loser of Ziggy Jr. and Raging Scotsman. That should give Travis T somewhat of an opponent to beat that it should be able to, sink its teeth really into. At least in theory. Maybe, and it's kind of, obviously you would think Lucky would be the less ideal opponent of the two. Big flipper, chonky front wedge, great driving by Matt Olson, but don't count out Forrest Yea's driving either. Flamethrower is allowed this year, so they are going to be able to use the flames. Fire Marshal is in the building. But those big exposed wheels may be tasty for Travis T, especially if they can get that low rider adjustable body working and they can get that weapon right to hit those wheels in the perfect spot. I do worry a little bit because Travis T is such an awkward robot to drive. It doesn't matter how great of a driver Kurt Kruger is. I don't know if it's going to be able to keep up with the agility and the athleticism of Raging Scotsman. I guess we're just going to have to see how the bracket plays out. We might not see that fight till tomorrow. We're going to have to see how it goes. Moving forward here, Hailstorm in the losers group. Double Trouble. It may be a battle of the pure rookies as Double Trouble waits for the loser of A1. Stink Eye versus Magnitude. Probably going to be Stink Eye, so maybe not Double Trouble versus Hailstorm. But I guess we'll see. We shouldn't count out Stink Eye. Stink Eye had a decent 2-2 run at RoboGames last year. But Magnitude's the real deal now. We know what Chad News brings to the table. We know he's a phenomenal driver. Fight might be happening right now for all we know. It looks like the live stream is dead ski for yourself. I'm going to refresh the stream. Nope, they're dead like red. Ain't that a bummer? Oh well. We're still here doing TCC stuff, so hopefully if you guys are not watching that, you're watching this, and you're at least catching a little bit of RoboGames talk, and we still got quite a bit to talk about. Obviously, the most of what we had to talk about was heavyweight class, and now we've gone over the full field of robots. In fact, looks like we didn't have that many pullouts. That was a big story of RoboGames last year, was how many robots pulled out last second. Now, I know there was obviously the skepticism. Not as many robots entered this year. But outside of Vlad the Impaler 1, which is more of a filler robot owned by RoboGames anyway, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 robots! So that indeed does mean that every single robot showed up outside of Vlad 2. It's a shame Vlad 2 couldn't compete. I did kind of want the nostalgia trip, but hey, kudos to everyone for showing up. I'm sure David Calkins is happy as a clam dealing with something like that. But hey, let's go ahead and jump over to these other classes. We're now an hour into the stro. First hour, pretty much all heavyweight talk. That's kind of what we wanted anyway. A lot of people want to know what's going on with the robots. A lot of robots on the road to BattleBots World Championship 8. You know, Greg and Trey is watching this from Las Vegas, and they're saying what's going on. This is like proving grounds to them. And it's kind of a thing I mentioned, you know, I talked about this in the past. It's hard to say, like, Proving Grounds is nice. Obviously, Proving Grounds is great. You get to fight inside the battle box. You get to see how the battle box pits are. You get the full BattleBots experience. The robots activate stuff. It's great. But to establish the feeling of being in an actual tournament, like what BattleBots is, competing, you know, upwards of 5 times in 2 days, having to repair a robot, knowing you have to fight in a few hours. You can't simulate that at Proving Grounds as much. Obviously, you can a little bit. You fight the following day. But this lets you have that full experience. The rush, the idea of, okay, we don't know who we're fighting, but we can watch this fight and see what's going on, and then we can pick up from that. You get that experience at RoboGames, not at Proving Grounds. So for teams that are obviously have aspirations to compete at BattleBots, like Travesty, like probably Hailstorm, like Mandamus, like Magnitude, of course, this is a great opportunity for these robots. Arena to be damned. Get your gloves, kids. But I digress. Let's now talk about those middleweights. We already discussed middleweights a little bit. We had a great question by Patrick Roberry earlier in the stream. And now we're going over to the middleweight class where we've already kind of shed some light on it. Not a big... We have 4 robots in this weight class, so I am very sorry to Budget Bot 2. They're literally the only robot we have not highlighted on this graphic here. It's also the only newcomer, so it kind of makes sense. Let's see if we can get a picture of Budget Bot 2. In the meantime, but real quick, let's talk about these other 3 robots pretty briskly here. Mortician from Hardcore Robotics. It is one of the most well-known middleweights in the United States. A lot of people probably know it better for being a part of Cat Kong and Mortician at BattleBot's Proving Grounds last summer, where it lost 2 straight against Doom inside the battle box. Kind of was a little bit of a bummer for the Clusterbot fans out there around the world, but generally hasn't really been a good year for Doom. Not Doom. It was all right for year for Doom. It was not a good year for Mortician last year, all things considered. They had Justin Billings driving the robot at RoboGames. It went 1-2 against a much stronger field of competition. We had BMF at that competition. We had Copyright Claim at that competition. We had Cat Kong at that competition. One robot that was at that competition was Who's Your Daddy Now? They went 2-2 last year at RoboGames, defeated some spinners, lost to some other ones, looked very good. It is essentially like how Mortician is a truncated version of Tombstone. Who's Your Daddy Now is a truncated version of Raging Scotsman without the flamethrower. Still just as well driven. Forrest Ye is a very underrated driver. And then finally, from Sierra College, a team who is apparently 1-0 right now in the heavyweight class with Wolverine. Wolverine, obviously, in the past, emphasis on this, in the past was a lot like Puck. It was built with the same rounded body as we see in this horribly cropped picture right here of Wolverine. Apparently there's just no good pictures of this robot anywhere online. And it had a horizontal spinner on the front, very similar to Last Rites, or Mortician, or Tombstone. Has never really been a very good robot at RoboGames. It's a little bit of a field filler, as we see, just like Mortician, it went 1-2 last year at RoboGames. But for the first time ever, it looks like Wolverine is going to be competing as a vertical spinner. At least that's what it showed on the RoboGames sign-up page. I guess we can verify that in just a second. As now let's go over to the RoboGames bracket. That's me, not the RoboGames bracket. That's the heavyweights. One of these. There we go. First try. Here, we can look at the bracket. And we have a picture of BudgetBot, actually. BudgetBot's actually from Team Echo. That's a little bit of a pleasant surprise. I didn't know that they had a middleweight. It's supposed to be a brand new robot from them. Probably last second, given the name. Classic two-wheel drive middleweight. Teal and red is a little bit of a bold color choice. Very Alex Zane. But let's quickly see what Wolverine is doing with their design. Is this the same horizontal spinner that we know it for? Or is this a vertical spinner like what the CADs in the sign-up showed? Because believe it or not, I almost picked Wolverine to win this class. Yeah, look at that. And look, we have a little bit of a shot of Puck here. Puck off. I like that. I'm glad Puck has a little bit more character, a little bit more pizzazz this year. You love to see it. And then there's Who's Your Daddy Now. Like I said, two-wheel, four-wheel drive, Raging Scotsman style bot. But here's Wolverine. I shouldn't get tangented here. Two-wheel drive drum bot. This is a very compact-looking robot compared to Puck, who we see right under it. And that drum doesn't really promise much to me, gotta be honest. I'm sure it drives well enough. Sierra College has been competing in robot combat for almost 10 years now. But I'm not really too convinced by this robot. I think Who's Your Daddy Now is going to handle it pretty well. And then in this other half of the bracket, we got BudgetBot and Mortician. I think Mortician is going to handle BudgetBot. It doesn't look like it's the sturdiest robot. Mortician isn't exactly a beacon of reliability, but it should do well against a robot. Pretty much is built for funsies, I would imagine, with BudgetBot. We'll have to see how it goes. That would set up Mortician versus Who's Your Daddy in round 2. I would have to go Mortician on that. I mean, we've seen variations of Tombstone and variations of Raging Scotsman fight in various weight classes for years now. It's usually a fight that Tombstone wins. Last Rites, whatever you want to call it. The Ray Billings robot, the one with the big spinny do on the front. So I would have to lean to it. But Forrest Ye, I've already said it like 3 times today. Phenomenal driver. By the way, what's up, Circular Robotics? Thank you for joining the Instagram live stream. Phenomenal driver. And think that's kind of a coin flip battle there. Wolverine for BudgetBot 2. I would have to go Wolverine there. I think Wolverine, Wolverine, Who's Your Daddy, and Mortician are going to be our top 3. They're going to be our medalists. Kind of feel bad that one of these robots is just not going to get a medal in such a small class. Like I said, I really wish this was a round robin bracket. Back in the day, in the mid-2000s era of RoboGames, if a weight class was small, they would do a round robin instead. Maybe due to time constraints or budget for the robots, they can't do that this time around. But You would like to see it when it's such a small bracket. You know what I mean? But yeah, as we see here, there really isn't much at all to talk about with these middleweights. So we aren't going to spend too much time on them or for these next few classes, to be honest. In fact, this class right here is probably going to get the most attention out of all of them besides the heavyweights, of course. And that's our lightweights. Lightweights, I know we only have 3 of them highlighted here. I probably would have done 4, given what we know now about the lightweight division. Let me just go ahead and pull up the lightweight bracket on the website right now. And if you all are curious, we do have the bracket in the description if you guys are just joining us and you want to follow along from where we are. Graham the Goat says, it looks like a large kit bot. It does look like a large kit bot, doesn't it? The new Wolverine? Kind of does. I see where you're coming with that. Well, let's talk lightweights here, guys. We'll get to this middle one here in a second because I am stoked about some Herger Pounded. But first, let's talk about Torment Nexus. This is a very what's the word? Ambitious design. It's a brand new team. It's a lightweight. They're coming from Canada. They're representing the maple flag. And it's a melty brain full body spinner. So they're jumping into the deep end with this design. They really are. A lot can go wrong with a design like a melty brain full body spinner. Obviously not everyone can be like Cornholio last year, who just showed up after years of frustration and just turned some heads. Might see years of frustration for Torment Nexus before it delivers. I want to put some highlight on Torment Nexus. It's such an ambitious design for a brand new team representing somewhere that isn't from out of state. They are strangers in a strange land, but hopefully they have a good run. If they lose this fight, they would have to go into... They would get a bye in the next losers round, so that's nice. But after that, they would have to fight somebody else. And there's some solid robots in this bracket. In fact, wow. It looks like Come to Mama actually is already... Let me not worry about the middleweight bracket, the lightweight bracket, I'm sorry, just yet. Let's talk about these robots to watch out for that we have listed here. We also have, of course, I am so excited for it. And actually, it looks like these 2 bottom robots are going to be fighting each other first at RoboGames. That's kind of exciting. As we quickly say hello to Purple Piston, and it's your boy Mari, both joining the Instagram live chat. Herger Poundin, of course, is... You know what? Fuck it. Let me just pull up a video of it, and we'll watch it all together real quick. Herger Poundin is probably older than a lot of the people watching this live stream right now, the handful that are still holding strong, and I appreciate you all so much. Herger Poundin was built, and it debuted in the year 2000. This robot is 1 year younger than me, y'all, and it has looked the same. It has fought the same its entire career. It is really something to be proud of. And it's one of the... Obviously, it's the oldest active lightweight, right now. But from the year 2000 to like the year 2014, this robot did not stop fighting. When BattleBots folded, it just started showing up at every live event that allowed lightweights. And around the middle of the 2010s, this robot quit showing up. But now it's back, and I'm so excited to see this robot again. Actually, I apologize. It looks like Herger Poundin competed until 2017. That was its last event, according to what YouTube is telling me right now. And I'll tell you what, I was really hoping it was going to be... I know the copyright goons get these BattleBots Comedy Central videos, but I was really hoping we'd have footage of Herger Poundin versus Dr. Inferno Jr. Because they actually had a pretty good story about that fight. I don't think we're going to be able to talk about it, though. Because it's not here. It's a little bit of a bummer. Oh, well. I'll put on this fight instead so you guys can kind of see what we're... Probably isn't going to load the fastest since we are live streaming right now. But Herger Poundin, it has competed. It competed at BattleBots 3.0. It competed at BattleBots 4.0. It competed at BattleBots 5.0. And it's interesting. I guess it's kind of a perfect transition from Torment Nexus to this robot, because Torment Nexus is the new Melty Brain full body spinner on the block. Herger Pounded might have been one of the first. Way back when, even back during the Comedy Central days, this robot had Melty Brain figured out. This robot fought, just like with any other robot, like Nuts, like Torment Nexus, like Cyclone Bot. It has that Melty Brain system where essentially, if you guys don't know what Melty Brain is, for any layman's fans, any more casual fans that might be watching this stream, it's essentially where you spin up, like you're seeing right here. You can spin up for full speed, and then you can still control the robot, which is a very tricky thing to do. I'm not exactly the brain to explain how it works. There's a reason why I talk about robots and don't build robots, but it's very advanced. It requires a microchip inside the robot to make it work. Good bit of coding. It was super advanced for when he was doing it all the way back during BattleBots 3.0. And what you're seeing right here in this battle that happened in 2015, this is exactly how this robot looked when I was a little kid watching it on TV. And that just makes me so excited because the robot looks the exact same today, showing up once again inside the arena for another year of RoboGames for its first event in almost 8 years, in fact. So Herger Pounded, I'm super excited for this robot. I would do cartwheels if Herger Pounded somehow left this whole thing as the champion of the RoboGames lightweight class. A comment on Instagram Live, BattleBots is not coming back, question mark. So, that's its whole situation. From what we've heard from Greg Munson and Trey Roski, from what I've heard from friends that have attended BattleBots Destructicon and Proving Ground events over the last year, they still seem very, very confident in BattleBots World Championship 8 happening and it being on Discovery Television. But there seems to be a little bit of a holdup between Discovery, BattleBots, and everything right now. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm keeping my hopes up. I think a little bit had to do with the Screen Actor Guild strike, but no, that is behind us. I think they're just sort of setting it up, trying to find the right time to do it. Obviously, that's a big thing. So we're just going to have to see how that folds out. I would still be confident that we are going to see more BattleBots in the future. It's your boy Mari #1. But thank you. Good question. I appreciate that one. As I said, Herger Poundin is going to be fighting in the first round Taste Like Burning, who is also attending its first RoboGames since 2017. And just like Jeff Waters from Jackpot, the captain of Taste Like Burning was actually hanging out with us last year during our RoboGames preview show. And just like Jeff Waters with Jackpot, he too said he kind of wished he attended if he knew that it was going to be this small of a turnout. Well, guess what? He's here this time, just like Jeff Waters. It is so exciting to see it because Taste Like Burning has to be one of the coolest looking robots in the sport right now, and I don't hyperbolize. I love to see this robot, and I'm so excited to see it fight. It is, if y'all remember Sabotage from back in the day, Comedy Central era BattleBots, the same time when Herger Poundin was fighting, it is a very slow lifter. It's very methodical. It can double as a clamp. But unlike Sabotage, this robot has a nasty flamethrower. It has some gorgeous chambered wheels. It's really a work of art, especially for being just a 60-pound robot. And it is very well driven. In fact, the captain of this robot is a pit crew member on the Banshee team, led by David Small. So we know he can do good stuff. In fact, he's another driver that has been fighting since the Comedy Central days. If you want to go back to his old robot Widowmaker, which fought all the way back at BattleBots 2.0, actually. So that's going to be a battle of two really, really old heads. Teams Wolfpack Engineering and Team Widowmaker Robotics battling one another. Herger Poundin versus Taste Like Burning. Two robots with red wheels. And these robots are going to be a lot of fun to follow during the entire competition. I'm really sad they're meeting in round 1 because it means one of these robots could go 0-2. Very unfortunate. One thing that will be exciting is Taste Like Burning, Herger Pounded is definitely going to be a 3-minute fight. They're not going to knock each other out, but they are very advanced, very technical, very pretty designs. I am just so excited to see these two fight. But real quick, let's jump over to the bracket. A lot of robots have signed up last minute. It looks like we're dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 robots in the lightweight class. A big step up. There were only like 5 signed up this morning, so it's good to see that has picked up a little bit. One robot that I would have put on that list if I knew it was going to be here, I only figured out it was going to be in attendance a couple of hours ago, is Federal MT. I don't think there's a robot which has won more RoboGames medals in the lightweight class than Team Warriors Federal MT, which is essentially one of the inspirations to the heavyweight Black Dragon. Federal MT, of course, significantly older than Black Dragon and has a lot more championships under its belt. But it looks like, according to the bracket right here, very first fight in the lightweight class today, Federal MT lost to Come to Mama, the 60-pound version of Raging Scotsman. I'm getting sniffly all of a sudden. So that's a little bit of a surprise. Let's see if we can see the result of that battle. I'd be shocked if it was a knockout or a tap out. I would have to imagine, because if you don't know, RoboGames judging really does favor the control bots. Oh, wow, it's a forfeit. Well, that explains a lot. Federal MT is forfeit its first battle. Very unfortunate. Maybe that's what we were seeing earlier when we were seeing it inside the arena during that live stream. Kind of interesting, kind of worrying. But Come to Mama is probably having a huge breath of fresh air. What's up? My boy, Tony D'Ambrosio, one of my favorite people in the sport, joining in the chat. So good to see you, buddy. And hello to everyone else that is joining right now on YouTube or Instagram that I've somehow missed your name. Just talking RoboGames here, going over everything. Y'all just missed our heavyweight discussion, but we are going to be making our predictions a little bit later. What's up, Full Damage Combat Robotics? Just joined a second ago. Right now we're going through the lightweight bracket of RoboGames. Greetings from NHRL. That's right. If you're not at RoboGames right now, you're probably at NHRL. They're doing their big pick meeting right now. A lot of people are getting assembled at Norwalk Havoc in Connecticut at the House of Havoc. Super excited for that. And if you guys don't know, we will be here this time in 12 hours, in fact, for another live stream on Instagram, on YouTube. And instead of talking about RoboGames, we're going to be talking about NHRL on 4/20. Great holiday for me. Great holiday for robot builders and robot fans, because we're going to be kicked back. We're going to be watching Extreme Robots tomorrow. We're going to be watching RoboGames tomorrow. We're going to be watching NHRL tomorrow. Going to need 3 TVs, but it's going to be a lot of fun, especially if we can get a RoboGames stream going again. I hope that guy didn't get booted. The bootleg stream we were all watching that's been offline now. But yes, greetings to all our NHRL friends. Hello, Tony, and anybody else that may be watching the stream from the House of Havoc. Best of luck tomorrow. I'm going to be watching y'all and cheering y'all on. And for y'all 30-pound drivers, watch out, because the Combat Crusader is going to be back. Us and Alex and Andre and Team 57. It's going to be super exciting. It's your boy, Mari1. Yes, sounds like a lot. It is a lot. Even if you're not a BattleBots fan right now, obviously we are all BattleBots fans, but even if you are worried about BattleBots right now, Robot Combat is doing so good. It is amazing. Not only do we have NHRL on the East Coast, we have RoboGames doing great stuff right now. Extreme Robots is about to kick off a hell of a season. Same with Robots Live with their Mech Plus partnership that they have going on now. And all the way over in Russia. I mean, you know me, I'm a big advocate for what's happening in Russia right now with Battle of Robots. They're doing phenomenal stuff over there as well. Be sure to check it out. Battle of Robots Season 2 that happens later this year. Looks like RealBots is going to be there, and that just still mind blown. There's also apparently going to be a Team USA team, and there's also a team that happens to be called Team Tanto. Now, I'm not saying Manta's going to be a Battle of Robots, but Manta might be a Battle of Robots. That's the big rumor right now. Anyway, I am getting so off topic. I am so happy to see all of you guys hopping in chat, though. That's what the chat's all about. Let's continue talking about the RoboGames bracket. Lightweight bracket. Tastes Like Burning just beat Herger Poundin' while I was gushing about the two fighting. That's kind of funny. They have advanced. They're going to be taking on the winner of Come to Mama and Torment Nexus. Should be a good matchup for Tastes Like Burning to make it even further into the bracket. Next up, we have Lil Kahuna taking on Mutually Assured Destruction. I actually don't know much about Mutually Assured Destruction at all. I think they might be a last-minute sign-up. I know Lil Kahuna's from Team Tiki, but I don't know what their robot actually is. I guess we'll find out in a second. Do you think Mechamania will pick up any more live events or smaller old series of Robot Combat? So, Mech Plus. Mech Plus is a godsend. I don't know how they make any money, quite frankly, but they are super amazing. I couldn't be happier that they exist. And the fact that they're doing this for Robots Live, bringing them that breath of fresh air, it's so good for the sport. I really wish them the best of luck. I don't know what their plans are after this happens. Maybe this Robots Live event is a huge success and they could do maybe a featherweight TV show as well. That would be super excited to see. I have a lot of high hopes for Robots Live and Mechmania this year. I think it's going to provide something. I really do think it's going to give them that kick in the ass Robots Live needed to make them feel like not second banana to extreme robots. Because I know that there are a ton of European drivers that prefer prefer Robots Live because of how much more accessible it feels. But here we go. Here's two pictures of Little Kahuna and Mutually Assured Destruction, which says mutually ass on the bracket. It's a little funny. Little Kahuna looks to be a mini version, a 60-pound version of Tombstone. Mutually Assured Destruction looks to be a drum bot, four-wheel drive drum bot. I'm sure that was an electric fight. One that Mutually Assured Destruction won. And then we have El Tortuga taking on Twister. And this looks to... Is El Tortuga the one from Leanne Cushing? I know she was talking about showing up at RoboGames, but I don't know if that actually happened. And Twister, of course, is Ground Zero from back in the day. This is a old school robot. It competed last year at RoboGames, didn't do too well. 0-2, in fact. Hopefully it has better luck this time around. Well, El Tortuga does not look like the sturdiest of robots, so I think they will be fine there. Not sure how they'll do against Mutually Assured Destruction. Looks like it's going to be a damaging half of the bracket on the winner's half and a controlled half of the bracket on the winner's half. I'm looking at a Taste Like Burning versus Mutually Assured Destruction winner's final. But honestly, now with Federal MT, even with the round 1 forfeit, I would be shocked if they don't win this tournament. This is Team Warrior we're talking about. This is one of the best teams in the world. And it's one of the best lightweights in all of history, you know, so it's hard to count them out. We will be talking about predictions at the very end of our live stream, so be sure to keep an eye on that as we take a look further into our losers bracket. Little Kahuna has received quite the bye. They're going to be taking on the winner of Federal MT and the loser of El Tortuga and Twister, so we could see Federal MT versus Little Kahuna. That could be a very fun fight. Tough draw for them. Herger Poundin is going to be taking on the loser of A1, which is Come to Mama versus Torment Nexus. I would have to guess that's going to be Torment Nexus. So we could see a Melty Brain battle in losers round 2. That could be a lot of fun. That could definitely be something to look forward to. As for that, not really much else to go over here. Now, real quick, we don't have brackets for them. To my knowledge, if you guys know about some brackets, please hit me up because I don't have them anywhere. Have to go to bed now since I'm in the UK. Enjoy RoboGames. I hope you like the TCC bot art I've done. You've done TCC bot art? You need to send me that because I have no clue. Provide me some and I'll share it on a live stream. Maybe tomorrow. Let me know and have a good night, Plunderbird. Big Yoshi, welcome to the live stream. Darren Cataly, welcome to the live stream. I totally butchered your name. Cattle Lane. I'm sorry. No, yeah, there was a bootleg stream early in the day when we started the stream, but it has shut down, unfortunately. Looks like the team left early. Maybe that's why it happened now. A few RoboGames fights have run into heavyweight class. Big Yoshi, we talked about it a little bit. If you want to rewind the live stream some, we got over a bunch of heavyweights at the very top of the stream. Larry Dixon says, thanks for the show. Thank you for attending. This is one of the best live stream attendances we've had for quite some time. Helps that we aren't doing it at 7 fucking a.m., but you know, you do what you gotta do for live streams when you gotta line them up with a certain competition at a certain time. You know what I mean? As I accidentally tube out everything there. But now, as we move boldly on forward here, let's start talking about the small robots. And I got 6 featherweights I want to go ahead and chat with you guys on real quick. Holy shit. My phone is at 1%. I'm going to be right back and get a charger for my phone so I don't lose the Instagram stream. cord has decided to come along. What do I think about Terratops and RoboGames? I'll tell you what. I like Terratops and RoboGames. I think Terratops has exponentially upped its stock with how it competed at RoboGames last year. I think they went from a, well, quite frankly, I don't think they should have been an alt to begin with at BattleBots 2022. I think they should have been in. I think Ben Burton has proved himself in the past. He had a phenomenal team, and outside of, actually, I can't think of outside of anybody. They were easily the best alternate of all the alternates, like Slammo, like Double Tap, like Doomba last year, like Dragon King. I think they stood above all of those robots and did phenomenal last year, and I expect much the same. In fact, I didn't really talk about Terratops too much during the RoboGames heavyweight bracket talk. I feel like I kind of shafted it a little bit, but I really do have high hopes for Terratops this year. And I really do think that once we do get BattleBots World Championship 8, it is going to be a genuine arms race for between Manta and Terratops as to who the Rookie of the Year that year is going to be. I think it's going to be very exciting to see. Can't wait to follow it in real time when it happens. Hopefully we do get BattleBots World Championship 8 very soon. In terms of RoboGames, though, don't count it out, especially since this field isn't as stacked as the usual BattleBots field. It is in a little... words. And it is in a little bit of a tough spot, for sure, given the fact that it is taking on... what? Like Black Dragon in round 1? Yeah, it's taking on Black Dragon in round 1, and then if it wins that, it's going to have to fight Jackpot. So you want to prove yourself against the BattleBots mainstays, beat Jackpot and beat Black Dragon. You're 2-0 to start RoboGames, and you look pretty damn good. You look super damn good. Speaking of robots that look good, though, let's talk about some featherweights. And we got 3 very popular, very successful featherweights that have been on screen for quite a moment already. Now, we were going to do a video on Motorama 2024. I ended up scrapping it just because I felt like we were too far separated from the Motorama event now to make it feel worthwhile. Just make sure my phone's charging. Oh no! I hope that didn't end the live stream. Am I still live? Okay, good. Sorry, y'all. Y'all are looking great today, by the way. But yes, talking about some of the featherweights competing at RoboGames this year, it is super exciting to see this. First time in, Jesus, forever that RoboGames has run featherweights. First time that I can remember. It's like, what, 2011? The RoboGames has run featherweights. It was a really good call by David Hawkins, because I guess he knew that he was going to have less middleweights, less lightweights this year. Featherweights, he got plenty of them, and he got plenty of them for his competition, thankfully. In both the featherweight, in both the sportsman and the full combat class. So we're going to be talking about a few robots from both of those classes here. Starting with Pepe Silvia, the 2024 Motorama featherweight champion. Like I said, I wanted to do a video on Motorama, mainly to gush over how well Pepe Silvia did, but it just ended up getting scrapped because the event was too far. It's too far gone past us at this point to talk about it. I feel like no one's really thinking about Motorama right now. They're all thinking about NHRL and RoboGames, so I digress. It did do very well at Motorama. It became the featherweight champion representing Colorado, just like Magnitude, and it looked great. It's such a unique robot. It's 45 pounds. It's shuffling. It's a full-body drum. It's super insane to watch inside the arena. There's a lot of really creative robots, a lot like it, but to balance creativity and competitiveness, it's always such a hard thing to do in robot combat. You want to be meta, but you want to be fun. You don't want to just be a Riptide. You don't want to just be a Bite Force. And they found a way to do that. So huge kudos to Luke Quinn and his wacky Pepe Silvia robot. Here's one robot that's a little bit more meta, but just as beloved. What about disinformation from the man, arguably the face of RoboGames, Hardcore Robotics, Ray Billings? This is a world travel drum bot already. It's a very old school drum bot. It's a robot that was built last year, but it was built using old school techniques. You can definitely tell that from how the robot is shaped, from its wheels, from its drum. But don't think it don't pack a punch. This robot did incredibly well at NHRL last year. Provided some phenomenal fights against one Phenomenon. In fact, look up Disinformation versus Phenomenon in NHRL. It is an amazing fight. Really does show off some of the power this information has in its weapon. Probably should have qualified for the NHRL finals. Had a very, very unfortunate battle against one Perry during the event. During the qualifier match, it was supposed to have last year? Yeah, last year. I don't remember the exact month. I couldn't tell you with a gun to my head exactly what month that match did happen. But speaking of Brazilian robots, we're going to be talking about a Brazilian robot here in just a second. The team also traveled to Brazil at the very end of the year last year to compete at the RoboCore Brazilian finals, and the team did pretty well there as well. The team had a very stacked group. Mark Zatrakian was on the fucking roster, for Pete's sake. If you show up to a Robot Combat event and Mark Zatrakian is on your pit crew, David Calkins is on your pit crew, Johnny Sompas is on your pit crew, you're doing something right. That's an all-star team. And of course, you don't need to tell Ray Billings he's doing something right in Robot Combat. That's one of the grandfathers of the sport now. Honest to God. Ray Billings, he's just a phenomenal person for the sport and just as a dude, as a human being. And we're far from done talking about Ray Billings on this stream. There's still a lot to discuss. But moving forward here, Brazilian robots. One robot that disinformation may have fought in Brazil was Jubilee, another robot which has fought in NHRL recently. In fact, it qualified for the NHRL finals in November. It looked great in its one event. It is ranked number 13 out of all the NHRL featherweights right now. Two-wheel drive, horizontal spinner. You really don't see horizontal spinning featherweights do good in the class. I know we were usually talking about that with hobbyweights back in the day, this time last year, but now with robots like Cthulhu and Maximizer doing so well in that weight class, it now kind of feels like the 30-pounders, the 45-pounders are struggling with the horizontal spinners. Jubilee did not get that memo. They have done great, and I expect them to do great in this competition, especially given the fact that it seems to be a fairly small field. Let me go ahead and pull up the RoboGames event registration since we don't have an actual bracket for the featherweight class, unless someone else has found it. Robo Collector 30. I'm going to check that out as soon as this live stream ends. Plunderbird, it's so cool that you did fan art of me. That really does, like, that just makes me giddy inside. It's one of those little, like, oh wow, that's cool. But thank you. Makes me wonder when the last US event with all the weight classes was. Mike 2499, I can tell you that. It was RoboGames 2023 this time last year. These guys don't have events all that often, unfortunately. It's kind of a bummer, especially for, like, the lightweights and the middleweights. RoboGames is pretty much the only place you are going to see these robots battle. And a lot of that has to do with arena safety. It is very, very expensive to fund a arena that is safe enough to hold 60 to 250-pound robots. I mean, the arena that we use right now for RoboGames is in question. Seriously in question over this weekend. So we'll just have to see how that goes. Hopefully everyone's going to be safe. I mean, hey, I keep on going to the gag, but I brought my baseball glove just to be safe. If I get like a little mantle wheel coming, I'm going to be ready. I digress. These are the heavyweights, so we don't want to look at heavyweights right now. Let's look at some featherweights. Loading. Including 12s and 30s. I see what you're saying, Mike. I see what you're saying. Ooh. Well, I don't know if they're using 12s. I know they are doing 30s, though. In terms of an event that has had these 4 weight classes, you might need to go back to early 2010s RoboGames. You might just have to. Because they don't happen often. You really... I mean, there's plenty of events with 12 pounds and 30 pounds, but really you don't see the lightweights and middleweights anymore in the U.S. It's a crying shame. We already talked a little bit about it earlier in the stream. But let's take a quick look at these other these other featherweights in the competition. Oh, wow. A few have signed up since we last talked. And there is, okay, well, I just need to shut the hell up then. There is a 12-pound class. I don't know how I didn't see it. I would have done a graphic for the 12-pounders if I saw it, but there is a 12-pound class here, guys. Let's go over them real quick because this is my bad. We got some robots that we recognize here. NHRL finalists such as the current NHRL Grand Champion Full Court Minor Threat is there, very popular robot, a robot which has won Motorama in 2023. Dark Saber is there, Claw Viper is there, the 12-pound version, the original version is there. Son of Cram is there from David Small, talking about Team Banshee. Pork Chop, Whomper, Zupacabra, of course, you gotta know Zupacabra is going to be there. Pretty much a 12-pound version of Black Dragon. Whomper's an exciting one from the Whiplash guys. Order Defender guys, 2-wheel drive, horizontal spinner. When you look at this bracket, look at robots to watch out for here. Minor Threat stands out. Full Court stands out with the championship pedigree it now holds. Claw Viper, of course, stands out. Kevin Milcheski, maybe the best driver in the world right now. Zupacabra as well. If it's Team Warrior at RoboGames, you can't count it out. If I were to make a quick prediction of this bracket that I just discovered existed about 5 minutes ago, I would have to guess. I feel like Zupacabra is way too safe of a pick. I just can't pick the Warrior robot to win every weight class. Let's have some fun with it. I am going to say that Claw Viper, Siege Breaker, Timber Viper, whatever it may be called at this competition is, I think it's going to win the 12-pound class. I'm very excited to see it. Hopefully they're fighting in the big arena. That would be a fun opportunity. Unless they have a 30-pound arena for these robots, that would also be cool to see. I don't know what they're doing at RoboGames. I know Okami Fan 1 is the one with the fight videos, so check him out. He has some featherweight videos on Instagram of those matches happening. But let's go ahead and check out our second half of actually no, I'm getting off base here. Let's look at the featherweight bracket real quick. Another let's do that. Another featherweight to look at this competition is Kablooey Tango, a robot that won multiple NHRL championships over the months, got top 8 in the NHRL November finals, looked great, really did. We'll talk about it later. One of my picks to win this featherweight bracket. Only 9 robots in this featherweight tournament, by the way. It's a little bit disappointing. Kind of wish we saw more. There are a few more in the Sportsman tournament, though. Let me go over to that. And the 2 that I'm most excited for, we are showcasing right here real quick. Banana Smash. Banana Smash was actually talked about on the Combat Collective right when we started doing these videos. Way back in the day, in 2021. Not really that way back. I'm not that old, I promise. It just feels like I am. Banana Smash was at Robot Ruckus 2021. Really fun robot. Great lifter on it. Great reliability. Good to see it again, really. But the robot you need to watch out for in this weight class is La Machine. This machine, representing Canada, by the way. If there's any robot that's going to bring Canada a gold medal at this event, even with Lucky there, it's going to be La Machine. This machine has dominated Motorama. It has pretty much dominated every single Sportsman featherweight event it has competed in over the last 3 to 5 years. It is pretty much, if you remember the Krusty Grab, a Robot Team Endgame OES Robotics built right before COVID started, it is essentially a 30-pound version of that. It is the perfect retrograde style front lifter suplexing design. Can pretty much grab any robot, especially a robot like Banana Smash, some of these more compact featherweights that do compete, and it suplexes them perfectly. It's honestly very impressive what Banana Smash can put together. Not Banana Smash, what La Machine can put together, and it has put together in the past. There is a very small list of robots that have managed to defeat La Machine in Sportsman competition. You can pretty much count them all on one hand. The only one that I can think of at the top of my head is its fellow Canadian Ralph. But that was in a sumo event. So really hard to compare that one to the usual event. This is going to be a lot more comparable to events like Motorama, where it usually dominates. I really do think La Machine would do very well in full combat. I mean, it's such a well-driven robot. I know that's not really what the team does, but I think it would do very well in those kinds of competitions as well. Just as a control bot, we see Claw Viper do very well in them. But now, real quick, let's hop over to who is signed up for these rounds, since we don't have the brackets, unfortunately. Like I said, kind of a small group for the featherweight class, especially in the Sportsman division here. We have the Bully, we have Meme Theme, we have Rumble Bumble, Storm Rider, Banana Smash, and Alpacalypse. I think Storm Rider may be Red Storm. I might be wrong on that. I think that used to be its name. If that's the case, Storm Rider may very well provide Alpacalypse a run for its money in the championship battle. That will be a super good fight. Red Storm has been such a treat to watch in NHRL. It's been flipping over house robots and shit. Who else can say that they've done that at NHRL? Not many people. Not many people at all. Solid but small group. Not much bigger is the 30-pound featherweight class full combat group. In fact, only 7 robots. We already went through them pretty much. Pepe Sylvia is there, fresh off his Motorama Championship. Wedge 9 is there, don't know much about it. Thought it was from Team Max Wedge. Apparently it's a completely different team. This information is there. We already talked about this for information. We already talked about Kablooey Tango. We already talked about Jubilee. Don't know anything about Turtle Bear or Dragonhawk. It looks like they are here through the RCL qualifications. That's super exciting to see. Money Talks, Currency Discussion has joined the Instagram live stream. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you as well. YT, Yttrium Bricks and Bots. I believe I pronounced that right. If I didn't, it wouldn't be the first time. Pretty small brackets there. 12-pound bracket. Looks like it's going to be pretty good. I can't lie. I'm pretty excited about what I'm seeing there in the hobby weights. And honestly, I shouldn't say that the 30-pound sportsman class is small, because we also know that Crunch Time and Woodsman are also in that bracket. Crunch Time very well could go far, could provide Law Machine a run for its money, could provide Storm Rider a run for its money. Crunch Time can do actual damage. A lot of these robots in the sportsman class cannot say that. It's kind of the point of the sportsman class. But now, before we get to our final stuff we want to talk about on this live stream, the Beetle weights and our predictions, let's have a little bit of fun here and go over some robots competing at RoboGames that are not competing inside one of the arenas. Let's talk about some of the robots filling the fairgrounds, the San Jose Convention Center, where they are today for some of these other competitions that are non-combat. I have 4 listed here that I just wanted to shout out real quick that are a lot of fun. First off, competing in the driving car, following driving, whatever you want to call it, weight class robots. Not too savvy, but this is a 6 robot weight class, and every other robot from this weight class comes from the nation of Korea. Outside of that, we have the Mule version 1 coming from the great state of Texas. It's half the reason why I put it on this list. Big wheels, got a laptop on top of it, a lot of wires. It looks like it has good traction. I'm not exactly sure where these robots are driving in their driving car mission class. Maybe I can find some video on it. Will be fun to do a TCC video on all the non-combat RoboGames classes. I think that would be very fun to do, just to go over some of the more fun designs that the competition has and how they are doing. And speaking of fun designs, here is a design that Robot Combat fans will recognize. Yes, that is Defender in the Static Art Bot class, Project HAND. Yes, apparently Defender, aka King Crab, is taking on yet another new life, this time as an art piece. I believe this version of Defender is a little bit more articulated, as we can see in the picture here. It does a little bit more of, like, you know, that hand motion, as you can kind of see my hand weirdly moving on the side of the screen. That's what it's built to do. I think it's just hanging out in the pits as we speak, doing weird little finger things. That is I don't like saying that. What's up, Sumesh04 Thakur? Thank you for joining the Instagram live stream. I might need to blow my nose real quick. I'm getting sniffly. Let me do that real quick. Let me take a pause, because I guess this is what happens after talking for God knows how long. The RoboGame 12s and 30s are organized by the RCL. Is that right? Yes, I think that actually is right. I believe there was like some venue snafu that made the RCL finals not happen this year, so they're having it at RoboGames. I think that's what's happening here. I might be mistaken, but I believe that's what's going on, and that's why a lot of these robots are listed under Robot Combat League. It would make sense. Maybe some of them aren't here. I don't know exactly what's going on with them. I will be right back, though, because I gotta blow my nose. Jeez, I feel like a sniffle train right now. All right. Maybe I won't sound like I have an acorn shoved up my nose for last few moments of our show today. So we talked about the Mule version 1. It's in the autonomous driving class. Best of luck to my fellow Texans. Show them Koreans who's boss. Nothing against Koreans, by the way. I love Koreans. Shouts to Orby Blade. Shouts to Team Orby. I want to see that team back in BattleBots. Project HAND from Team Fast Electric Robotics. Super exciting to see. Of course, one of the secret favorites of RoboGames has to be the bartending robot class. There's always some really goofy robots, some really fun robots made by some veteran teams, robot combat teams in this group. And no difference here. Mount San Antonio College is obviously the college where one Mad Catter, Cat Kong, Lynx hails from. But they aren't doing combat this year. Instead, they said, fuck it. We'll just show up and serve some booze. We got a robot that literally fills red solo cups and passes them to people. And it's at the venue. It's at RoboGames right now. If you are listening to this, you could probably go check it out if you're at the event. It's competing in the bartending class, and it is such a fun-looking robot. I mean, look at that thing. I wish that thing could serve me a buble right now. And then finally, from Hardcore Robotics, I told you guys I wasn't done talking about Hardcore Robotics on this stream, even though we've already talked about... Phone call, ruh-roh. Even though we've already talked about a bunch of robots from Hardcore Robotics, such as Mortician, such as Stink Eye, such as Swamp Thing. We've even talked about Swamp Thing on this stream. We're talking about, I promise you guys, I didn't just put this robot's name on here because of its name. It's fun with Sterling! It's fun with your boy! Now this is entering the best of show class. It's just some fun little mechanical engine display that Ray Billings made. He's been showing it off on his Instagram. If you want to follow him on Instagram, @Tombstoner. He knows a little bit more about how this Sterling engine works, a lot more than I do. In fact, let's try to have a little bit of an education hour and figure out what the heck a Sterling engine is, because apparently this is a neat thing. A Sterling engine is a heat engine that is operated by the cyclic compression and expansion of air or other gas between different temperatures, resulting in a net conversion of heat energy to mechanical work. I don't know what a single one of those words mean. Happening with Fun with Sterling, which you can check out on the Best of Show floor, representing Hardcore Robotics of all people. But if you want to have fun with Sterling, the Sterling that starts with an E, let's continue and look at the Beetleweights. Fun with Sterling. I can't believe that's the name. That shit's so funny to me. But I digress. Let's talk about some featherweights here. Let's talk about some 3-pounders here. And I'll pull up the bracket off to the side once again, guys. If you guys know where I can find a featherweight, the 12-pound, the 3-pound bracket, please send them to me. Because I don't know where to go. I don't know where to look for them. And I wish I could provide you guys some better follow-up for those matches. But not much I can do right now, sadly. Looking at the 3-pound class, we have some robots that are interesting, but shockingly enough, not a lot of big names. And I'm sure that a lot of that has to do with the fact that NHRL is also happening. It's happening tomorrow. Stay tuned for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be there for it. There's some robots to chat about here, such as, quite frankly, looking at number 1 and number 2 on this list, we're probably looking at one of our champions here. Crash Fest, of course, from Team Racing. Robert Runn, one of the sweetest guys in the sport, a guy who recently got back into the sport, by the way. Thank you for joining Robo Madness 2024. He's currently ranked number 13 at NHRL. It is a former event champion. It has had great, successful runs deep into competitions in the past. In fact, didn't they make it to the finals of the All-Star Championship in December? I believe they did. They're ranked number 13 overall. They're going to be well-driven. They're going to make it far into this tournament. But if you want to talk about the elite of Beetleweights right now, let's talk about maybe... I love Jeff Waters. I don't want to put this as like some negative connotation. Let's talk about maybe one of the most controversial robots right now. Now, we were going to do a post-event stream for the NHRL Finals in November, and we didn't, for obvious reasons. There was a huge controversy surrounding this robot in particular, and I just didn't want to get involved in it. I wanted to make sure I had my facts straight, and there was so much he says, she said, and it was between two parties that, quite frankly, I love. I didn't want to get involved in it, but we can't get involved in this. Supreme Ruler is going to be fighting a lot of robots at at RoboGames this weekend that are not at the NHRL level. I think it's going to dominate because it dominated NHRL competition. There's no reason to believe it ain't going to dominate this as well with its fantastic cam lifter setup that we have seen already take over this sport by storm. We have seen Battle of Robots competitors have them. We have seen heavyweights have them. We have seen featherweights have them. Cam lifters are in. Thank you for joining the Instagram stream, Hector J. Santos. And I think they're going to keep dominating. Supreme Ruler is ranked number 4 at NHRL right now. Probably should be number 1, but I digress. These two control bots are going to do great, I think. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a Supreme Ruler and Crash Fest final. Honest to God. And then we got Neon Annihilator, who really, I mean, there's so few recognizable names in this bracket of 3-pounders, which means we're probably going to see some new stars arise. There's not really many big names, though. So we have Neon Annihilator here from my buddy, Mattiator, coming out of Canada, a buddy of mine on the BattleBots Wiki Discord server. And while he is primarily focusing on his push bot, his heavyweight Boyan, you can still catch him in the small arena with his 4-wheel drive undercutter. Big shades of Club Louis Tango, to be honest. Neon Annihilator. I mean, look at that undercutter. That is a gnarly looking undercutter, asymmetrical. And then finally, I already talked about the Mule version 1.1. And we talked a little bit about UK robots, especially with Extreme Robots happening tomorrow on here already. Let's talk about the autonomous class, and let's talk about the sole England representative in RoboGames this year with the Shrew. It is a 3-pound autonomous robot, and it has been one that you've seen at NHRL a couple years ago in the past. Doesn't really show up there anymore. It's 2-wheel drive, has a little drum on the back. And it's a solid little robot. It definitely, it looks the part. Has a big wedge. It's fun. Drives pretty well for being autonomous, and that's really why I shouted it out here, because it is not going to be competing with the other Beetleweights. It will be competing in the very fun, very unique autonomous Beetleweight class, which happens exclusively at RoboGames every year. There's 5 other robots to compete with it. Lego Warrior, which actually comes from Team Scorpius. Auto Cage, SRC, which is apparently the sole Mexican representative. Kind of fun to see that. Decapitron, which looks like a pincer robot. Let me go ahead and cut. Helps if y'all can see it, huh? Decapitron, which looks like a pincer robot. Candy Can of Chaos comes from Decapitron's team. And then we got Ankle Biter. Don't know who Ankle Biter. Don't know who a lot of these robots are outside of Decapitron and the Shrew. Probably would pick the Shrew over Decapitron, though. So maybe we'll see England lead with a medal after all. Would be exciting to see. Let's go back to that 3-pound weight class, though, real quick and take a look at the robots competing. And you'll kind of see what I mean. Not very many recognizable names here, to be honest. Laceration looks like a solid robot. Slippery Slope looks like a solid robot. Another good control bot. There's Supreme Ruler. NoobTube is here. I didn't shout out NoobTube, but I very well could have. We've seen it in HRL in the past. It's a full-body drum. It is a very fun robot to watch compete. It's going to make for some good fights. Check those out on YouTube when they do appear. It's outings at RoboGames. CJC, hello, and welcome to the Instagram live stream. We have Reroll, a 2-wheel drive vert from Combots. We have Rat Bastard, too. I absolutely love that name, from Team Red Hammer. 2 more robots from Mexico competing in the 3-pound class. A Rolling Robots Little Tortuga, which I do believe is a Floridian robot. Punk, which may be a little version of Puck from Sierra College, the same team that brings us Puck and Wolverine, and a bunch of mystery spots. I gotta say that we really don't know much about this 3-pound class. It's very unfortunate. Still haven't seen any word about a bracket, so we're just kind of left in the dark with a lot of this stuff, but it is what it is. Not really much else to talk about here, guys. We've covered a lot in this 2-hour live stream, so I guess we're going to head and start wrapping things up a little bit. We'll take one more last look at the heavyweight bracket because I know that's what we all want to see. I guess the live stream is done for today. It's a little bit unfortunate, but I guess the team that was running it had to head out. I believe that's the story I heard. Unfortunate, but hopefully we'll still get these fight videos from elsewhere. I know some of them are in the NHRL Discord server if you want to check that out. Some of them should be appearing on Instagram if you know where that is. If you know where that is. I think we all know where Instagram is. If you know where to look on Instagram, just try hashtag RoboGames, hashtag RoboGames 2024. You should be able to find some videos of fights. Same thing for YouTube, to be honest. Try RoboGames 2024. Fights should be appearing. Maybe already up there now for all we know. But now, we've talked about pretty much all the weight classes, except the 12-pound class. I am so sorry. I've just somehow neglected that class totally. I feel really bad about that. It's prediction time. We got 6 predictions here. I'm actually going to change one of these selections in the lightweight class. No offense to Taste Like Burning. But let's go through them here real quick. First off, in the 12-pound class, I will go ahead and say Timber Viper is my pick to win it, assuming it is there. I am a big Kevin Milcheski fan, one of the best drivers in the world, maybe the best driver in the world. I mean, my dude just beat Minotaur at BattleBots Proving Grounds during All-Star Week, which, by the way, just another thing that's happening right now in the ever-exciting world of robot combat. BattleBots Proving Grounds All-Star Week for the first time ever. That's been a lot of fun to follow. We've been seeing robots like Banshee, Lucky, Minotaur, of course, Travesty, Claw Viper, all competing inside the battle box in April, just like how we're used to, just not in the competition we were hoping it would be. But I digress. I don't think it's going to be Travesty. I don't think it's going to be Lucky or any of those robots, any of those all-stars winning this. I think Manta's going back-to-back, and its dominant victory it just had over Original Sin really just solidifies me feeling that way. This robot very well could leave with who knows how many heavyweight championships. What if this robot wins RoboGames, wins Battle of Robots if the rumors are true, and wins BattleBots all in 1 year? There wouldn't be a better robot combat performance ever by a heavyweight in 1 year. It would be historic. I would love to see that. Moving down the bracket, we'll talk more about heavyweights before we leave. In the middleweight class, it's a very small group of robots, 4 robots in total. A lot of them are unproven spinners. So I gotta go with Who's Your Daddy Now. Big sturdy wedge. Forestier is a great driver. You gotta think that he's gonna go far. And then we have Taste Like Burning, the lightweight from Team Widowmaker. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that prediction. I think I'm gonna go Federal MT here. I didn't know Federal MT was gonna be in the competition when I made this graphic. Even though it is in the losers bracket, it's gonna need to go on an undefeated run to win it all. If any robot's gonna do it, it's gonna be the Brazilians. It's gonna be Team Warrior. And they're going to go far. I really do think that if they don't make it finals, they should at least make it to the podium, top 3. But I'm really liking Federal MT in this competition, especially with so few high kinetic energy spinners in its group. But I do like Taste Like Burning as well. If Taste Like Burning wins it, would not be surprised. It has had a good run so far. It just beat Herger Poundin. It's going to be taking on a fairly easy to beat robot, I would imagine, with either Torment Nexus or Who's Your Mama, or Come to Mama, I should say is the name, in the next round. We'll see how it goes. Definitely cheering for Team Widowmaker and Taste Like Burning, but I have to change my mind and say Federal MT. My new pick to win that weight class. Law Machine, though, even with the new additions like Woodsman, like Crunch Time, like Red Storm, I think I got to go with Law Machine to win the featherweight sportsman class. Bring a little bit of gold over up north. It's a solid robot. It has looked good in the past. I don't think I have seen this robot lose once live. It's just that good. It's an insane machine. It's insanely driven. It was almost driven by my buddy Zach, actually. That ended up falling through. So I think it's all Canadian, their team, their roster, their pit crew for this event. Super exciting. And then, of course, we have a few very solid featherweights. We already talked about them. Pepe Silvia, who's fresh off a championship. Disinformation, who's fresh off a world tour. Kablooey Tango, who's fresh off multiple championships last year. And they're going to go Kablooey Tango here. We know that Questionable Designs is here, I think, with a couple of robots, but the most notable, of course, being Kablooey Tango. Four-wheel drive undercutter is dominated. Tons of robots at NHRL. It's now going across the country, and it's bringing it to the RoboGames arena. I think it's going to be more of the same. I can see Pepe Silvia giving it a little bit of trouble with the big weapon and the weight advantage it has over it. But, I mean, come on. And just like how I said Lynx is probably going to dominate RoboGames last year, I mean, it wasn't close. I think the same thing for Supreme Ruler this year. Jeff Waters is a phenomenal driver, maybe even underrated, dare I say. And Supreme Ruler, it still has yet to lose a fight outside of the one I think it lost during its qualifier event during NHRL. Outside of that, it's been dominant. I know Luke Stengel is not going to be happy to hear me say that. Sorry, buddy. Love ya. But I think Supreme Ruler is probably going to dominate this Middleweight class, and it's not even going to be close if I can be brutally honest. But there you go, guys. Going over my heavyweight predictions, all my predictions, in fact, real quick. Heavyweight, I'm going to go Manta back-to-back. Middleweight, who's your daddy now? Sturdy Wedge is going to out-control everybody. Lightweight, says tastes like burning. Wouldn't be surprised if tastes like burning wins, but I'm going to switch it over to Federal MT to make a loser's run. Featherweight, Sportsman, Law Machine, not really another robot you can feasibly pick here. Featherweight, Kablooey Tango, it's a small stacked but a stacked class. I'm going to say the robot with the most championships is going to take it, though, with Kablooey Tango. And then the robot which dominated Beetleweights, maybe the new Beetleweight meta right here, Supreme Ruler. Don't need to be flashy to win, and it's going to win a lot over this weekend. I have it being our Beetleweight champion. And, of course, in the 12-pound class, I got another control bot in Timber Viper winning that weight class. So that's 7 champion predictions up, 7 champion predictions down. When we do our RoboGames rundown videos over the next few months, I guess we'll see how those predictions hold up. But before we leave, before we call it a night, as it's now 2 hours deep into our live stream, doesn't look like anything new has popped up over there for robot combat stuff. Yeah, here we go. Real quick bracket check. Looks like Stink Eye has still not fought Magnitude. Maybe there was a delay with Stink Eye that prevented Chad from fighting. Obviously, Puck beat Hailstorm. Manta defeated Original Sin. Echo 3.0 did end up beating Warthogs as we last at Terratops. So that sets up Manta versus Echo 3.0, a battle of the eras of the drum bots. Tough draw for Echo 3.0, but if they can win that, they can prove they belong in this sport. Double Trouble still waiting on an opponent. Hailstorm still waiting on an opponent. Travesty still waiting on an opponent. Swamp Thing and Original Sin still has not happened, so I'd imagine we're not going to see too much more from RoboGames. I might be wrong, but I think that is going to wrap it up, guys. It's been about 2 hours. That was my goal for this live stream, and we've pretty much covered all 6 of the classes I wanted to cover, plus the 12-pound class. I really do apologize. I don't know how I didn't have any graphics prepared for the 12-pound class. But this has been an amazing turnout. I know it helps that RoboGames isn't streaming right now, so a little bit more eyes on this thing than usual, which was nice to see. But, guys, this is such a great turnout. I'm so happy with it. I mean, we had up almost 20 people on the live stream at one point, and we had just people coming in and out like a revolving door on the Instagram stream all day. So, guys, thank y'all so much for the turnout. This has made me so happy. Hope you guys all have a wonderful RoboGames. Hope you all brought your glove, of course. Be sure to watch out for flying parts. Hopefully, David Calkins can prove us all wrong with the arena safety issue. I really would like to see that. I think that's going to cut it here, guys. We've covered everything. We talked about our predictions. We went over some brackets. Went over some robots that you guys should check out. Hopefully, you guys discovered some new favorite robots here on this live stream. I just realized how short this camera makes me look. But I digress. I'm tired, my voice is giving out, my nose is snuffy, and tomorrow is not only a great day for watching robots fighting, it is a holiday. Happy 420 to anybody that celebrates. I promise I will not be celebrating early. I will be sober and I will be responsible for the live stream tomorrow morning because, yes, we are going to be going live in less than 12 hours, in 11 hours from now. In fact, we will be going live for our NHRL pre-show for the April event. I am so excited. Plenty of amazing drivers, plenty of amazing robots there. No Combat Crusader, but me and Alex are working on the next version. It is actually a lot of I'm pretty excited. The next version is going to have some fun stuff with it. I don't want to spoil too much. It's not my robot to talk about, at least building wise, you know what I mean? But I'm just rambling here, guys. Thank you so much for watching this. I really am. I'm smiling still just because this has been such a great time. You guys have been such great people. We have had such an active chat both on Instagram. Thank you to Tom Sanford. Thank you to Robo Madness. Thank you to CJ Thief. Thank you to Patrick Roberry. Thank you to Chad New. Best of luck with Magnitude. Thank you to Cordy Corbet. Thank you to Plunderbird. I got to get out right after I ended the stream. Graham the Goat, you were here all day. Thank you so much. B. Yoshi. Mike2499, you had some great questions. Thank you so much. Larry Dixon, thanks for the show. Thank you for showing up. And everybody else, thank you, thank you, thank you. I try to name off everyone that came in to watch the stream at some point. If I saw you in the chat, shouted you out, do what I could. But guys, I'll leave you all to it. Enjoy your evening. I'll see y'all in the morning, bright and early. Get your breakfast going. Get your wake and bake going. Y'all can wake and bake. I can hold off a little bit. I can wait till 9. But that's going to do it for me here. Thank you, everyone, so much. And y'all have a great evening. See y'all next time on the Combat Collective. And we'll see, I guess, in 2025 for our next RoboGames preview show. Hopefully there will be a preview show. As long as no one loses an eye. Bring your baseball glove, everybody. And we'll see y'all next time. See you tomorrow. More Robot Combat to talk about. We'll probably, I know it's our NHRL show, but we will probably do another RoboGames update. We probably will talk a little bit about Extreme Robots. We won't just talk about NHRL. Robot Combat's a spectrum. We'll be there. And we will see you guys next time. It's your boy Mari. I forgot you.